Hello everyone, and welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is The Hallway by blah 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 1992. If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like. And if you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe and become a resident of Hill Street. And let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get to this nightmare. I bought an EMF reader and a black light. They should be delivered on Monday. Dane texted in our chat group with me and my husband. Hell yeah, I bought a few things for the trip too. LED lights and tarp poles so we can put the tarp up if it rains. I replied, what time will you get off work Tuesday? I feel like it'll be around 5 for me. Hopefully still enough time to get there before it gets dark. I only work a few hours that day. I plan on packing the rest of my stuff when I get back home. Dane sent. I think I can get off work early too. We need to pack the cooler. Zach sent. Sweet, I'm so excited. The campgrounds look cool as crap. I texted back. A few weeks ago, my best friend Dane sent me a link to a supposedly haunted campground that was only a couple hours from our house. We hadn't been camping with Dane in a long while, and I knew how much he wanted to go again. I reserved the campsite only a week after he sent it, and solidified plans at work for us to all be off at the same time. It's difficult for us to be off work at the same time due to us all working at the same hotel. Dane and I really bonded over our love of horror a couple of years ago. We watch horror movies and play horror-based video games on a regular basis. We dragged my husband to a haunted cemetery in 2020. My husband isn't the biggest fan of horror, but he loves camping, so he was on board for the trip to the campground. I don't actually believe in ghosts, but I love the adrenaline rush of being in a spooky area. My husband, Zach, 100% believes in ghosts. His mom used to take him to haunted places when he was young, and he swears he sees ghosts on multiple occasions. We didn't see anything in the cemetery, and I didn't think we'd see anything this time either. The campground is on the coast of Washington, about 2 hours away from Seattle. It's an old fort used back in the early 20th century, located in a state park. Our plan was to leave right after I got off work and head up with our dog, Shiloh, to do a 2-day camping trip. I got off work later than I expected due to how busy the hotel was, so it was almost dark when we arrived at the campsite. We got the tent up in the minimal light and in record time. While I was airing up our mattress, Zach started to make a fire. Dane surprised us by saying he brought magic fire packets. When we all settled by the fire, he whipped out a packet and threw it on the fire. The flames turned from yellow and orange to purple and blue. We drank our beers and watched the fire, throwing more packets on when the flames went back to their normal colors. We drank and laughed until after midnight. We were drunk by the time we headed to the tent to sleep. Zach and I were on the air mattress with Shiloh, and Dane was on his own. We were still goofing off in the tent when we heard a commotion outside. Zach was almost asleep, but Dane and I got really quiet. Shiloh started growling. We had left a tarp on the table, and it sounded like something was moving it. We heard crunching and movement on the tarp. Shiloh's growl turned into low barks. I found out that drunk me was the stupid one in the movies that just charges out in dangerous situations. I unzipped the tent and ran out towards the table. I couldn't see anything. The LED lights I had bought didn't illuminate much. I walked over to the table and saw chips everywhere. Oh my God, Zach, you left your chips out. It looks like raccoons got into them. The bag is even gone. I started laughing. I took my phone out and took pictures of the mess the raccoons had made to show Zach and Dane in the morning. I went back to the tent and zipped it back up. I could still hear crunching as I fell asleep. The next morning, we all got up around 10 a.m. I looked at where the chips were, and there was zero evidence the chip massacre had even happened. Not even a single crumb was left. That was a very skilled raccoon. It left absolutely nothing behind. I said, if it wasn't for my picture, you wouldn't even know anything had happened. It's like they were waiting behind the trees for us to go to sleep. Zach laughed. Sneaky bastards. Dane and I went to the store that was a few miles away to get food for us while Zach stayed with Shiloh. We got more beer, stuff to make lunch and breakfast for the next day, and things for our hike to the fort. We were drinking again by 11 a.m. with our lunch. After we finished our sandwiches, we started packing a backpack with things we needed for the hike. Dane put in his EMF reader and a black light. We packed a few beers and some water for us and Shiloh. I threw in our small bowl also. Dane had been studying the map of the park during the drive and knew it well enough that he could point us in the correct direction with ease. The fort was about a mile from our site, mostly uphill at first. We took turns on holding the backpack, hid our beers from the other hikers, and threw our empties in the bag. We got to the fort about a half an hour into our walk. Dane ran forward ahead of us and disappeared up some steps. Zach and Shiloh had stopped for her to pee. I walked to the spot where Dane went and couldn't find him. It was a stone platform with walls. There was one disconnected short wall about waist height, a few feet long. I yelled for Dane, but he didn't respond. I moved forward to see if he was maybe hiding behind the wall to scare me. When I went around the wall, I found stairs down. It was very dark, so I couldn't see anything past a few steps. I hear chuckling, and Dane comes around the corner at the bottom of the steps. Ha! I got you, he yelled. I rolled my eyes and followed him back down the stairs to a long, dark hallway. This is so cool, I say. I got my phone out and started recording. He must have taken the EMF reader out of the bag earlier because he pulls it from his pocket and turns it on. We move forward and see there are doors on the right side of the hallway. The doors are metal and very rusted. Hopefully we've all had our tetanus shot recently, I say. Dane goes into the first room, carefully avoiding the door, and I follow with my phone video recording. Kurt was here is written in black graffiti on the wall to our right. The rest of the walls are covered in dirt and grime. Dane says loudly, "Are there any ghosts here with us?" while waving the EMF reader around. We don't hear any response. We move towards the next room, which is a tighter squeeze through the door. "You first," I say. He doesn't move. So I say, "Okay, I'll go first." And I go through the narrow doors to find more graffiti and dirt. We hear Shiloh's nails on the ground down the hallway. Zach, we're over here. We both go back through the door and see Zach at the entrance with Shiloh. This is creepy, Zach yells back. I see he pulls the backpack around and pulls out the black light. The illumination from the light is powerful. We follow Zach back into the first room and see more graffiti that the black light picks up. We move back down the hallway with Dane randomly saying, "Are there any ghosts in here?" with no results from the EMF reader. We all go up the stairs at the other side of the hallway and end up back on another stone platform that is identical to the other. We move around to the next entrance and find another hallway just like the first. There are more rusted doors, more graffiti, and more dirt. This goes on for about an hour as we go down a few more hallways that are all mostly the same. Dane has run out of beer and I'm on my second to last. We're outside again, looking at another building, when Zach starts going down a narrow hallway about 2 feet wide. None of the other buildings have this hallway, and so far they've been very similar in structure. I hesitate at first, but follow after Zach. He has the black light, and I follow with Shiloh and Dane behind me. We go about 10 feet, and there's a sharp left turn. Shiloh refuses to move forward. I try to coax her forward, but she won't budge. I look up and see Zach has disappeared around another turn. Dane says, "Dude, what the heck? Is this a hallway?" behind me. Shiloh still refuses to go, so I pick her up and start down the hallway. Dane sounds like he's really enjoying himself and repeats, "Are there any ghosts in here?" multiple times. I don't even see the black light anymore. My stomach starts to ache with anxiety, and Shiloh is shaking a little in my arms. I walk a few more steps forward and twist my ankle on a dip on the side of the hallway. I cry out in pain and fall down slightly with Shiloh still in my arms. I stand back up and see a very thin figure in front of me. It's standing at the end of the hallway, looks right at me. It has extremely long arms that go down to its knees. It looks emaciated. I've never been so scared in my life. I couldn't even scream. I blink and it's gone. My breath gets heavier and Shiloh starts to growl. I turned around to see if Dane had seen it too, to find that no one is behind me. I hold Shiloh closer to my chest. "Dane? Zach? Where are you guys?" I scream, and it echoes around me. I could hear the fear in my voice. I start to violently shake and head back towards the entrance. I turn the corner to find more darkness. The entrance was right there. Right there. I think I can feel tears prickle my eyes. I turn around again to see if maybe I can find Zach back down the other way. "Zach! Dane!" I scream again. A tear falls down my cheek. I move towards the hallway I had seen the creature, due to not knowing what could be down the other way. The hallway that shouldn't exist, I think to myself. I whisper Zach's name this time. I move closer and closer to the corner. My phone has a tiny bit of charge left on it, due to me filming most of the last hour. I pull my phone from my pocket, trying to juggle it and hold my shaking dog. My hand is vibrating with fear, but I manage to turn the flashlight app on. I peek around the corner and again see nothing but the same hallway. I move my way down the hallway and hear a screech from behind me. I scream and turn around to see what looks like Dane, but he's wrong. His eyes are two different sizes. His legs are too long. His torso is too short. One arm is longer than the other. His clothes are covered in dark patches and are ripped in places. "Dane?" I whisper. He looks up at me and his mouth opens wide, too wide. His jaw drops down to his chest and his mouth somehow stays intact. He screams so loud, I feel vibrations. He starts to charge towards me, so I run the other way. I can feel tears pouring from my eyes, and I run around several corners while holding a whimpering Shiloh. I look over my shoulder to see he's gone. I slow down, but run around a few more corners. I slump to the floor and hug Shiloh, trying to calm myself. I'm breathing heavy from fear and exhaustion. I hear a soft moaning from the hallway ahead of me. The hallway I haven't been down yet. The moaning gets louder, like the thing that is making the noise is moving closer. I get back up and move back down the hallway, away from the noise, while holding my flashlight towards it. In the light, I see small movement towards the top. While still moving back, I see what looks like to be Zach's face appear. His face is long, like 2 feet long, and narrow. His eyes are like saucers. His head is nearly touching the ceiling. I scream loud and run in the other direction. I don't feel like my heart can take much more of this terror. I run down several hallways, around several sharp turns, and see sunlight. The entrance, I think, with tears still streaming down my face. I fall out of the hallway and onto the open stone of the platform floor. It must have been raining a while, because the ground is wet. I stand up and put Shiloh on the ground. I still hear an echoing moaning from inside the hallway, so I run. I run until I see 2 hikers and yell at them to call the police. They try, but they don't have cell reception. My phone is dead. The couple escorted me back to the campsite and called the police as soon as they got service. The police didn't believe my story. Of course they didn't. They said I'd been drunk and hallucinated the whole thing. They filed a missing person report for both Zach and Dane. It's been 2 months since that trip. I've lost my 2 best friends. I've tried to cope with all of this, but it's hard. I see a therapist once a week. I've been struggling at work, but thankfully the company has given me leniency due to my loss. I don't know how much longer they'll allow this though. I never want to go camping again. I never want to go into national parks again. I never want to go anywhere remotely haunted again.